Welcome back to another episode of Sexy Marriage Radio. And this one's the holiday edition because here in the States, it's Thanksgiving week, which used to be, back when we were growing up, officially kicked off the holiday season. But I think the holiday season kicked off about the time the kids went back to school in August.
Yeah.
It's the way it seems like the world here in the West has shifted.
I mean, there's been Christmas decorations out for a couple months, so.
Totally.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we often can have happen, it seems, when it comes to this time of year is not only does the pace of just our life escalate and the intensity of all of the barrage of consumerism and sales and Black Friday and pressures that come with it and deadlines and year ends. I mean, and on and on. I'm bringing
Gatherings
I'm
and
bringing
parties
myself
and
down
fun things.
with just even thinking about the weight of all of it. But one of the things that happens is, man, the marriage just can take a hit in the holiday season. That we realize sometimes we forget that we're on the same page. We're a team.
We may not be on the same
With this
page, but
thing.
we are a team.
Fair.
We're in this together.
Fair.
And hopefully this episode helps people get on the same page.
Absolutely. And so the way we're going to frame this is just a quick holiday survival guide is the kind of way we're thinking about it. And so on the first segment, we got an email that came in and we're going to go through it and use it to help frame the entirety of the episode today.
Perfect.
But on the regular version is going to be a conversation about what do we need to do individually. And then on the extended content, which is deeper, longer, and there's no ads, you can subscribe at smr.fm/academy. We're going to dive into now, how do we collaborate? What can we do to help each other?
Right.
When it comes to the holiday festivals and the struggles that happen because of just the pressures and families and all the different things that happen.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Absolutely. So here's an email, longtime listener, first-time emailer, writing from the eye of glitter and a tinsel tornado. Here's our deal. My spouse is an enthusiastic holiday golden retriever. That's a pretty articulate description of just excited about everything.
Yeah.
And I am.
And always happy and joyful.
A cat who schedules her own naps. He's RSVPing yes to everything with a door and snacks. And I'm quietly calculating how many evenings a human can be with other people before losing their mind. When you add in 2 kids, ages 5 and 9, who think bedtime is actually just a rumor, plus an extended family who treats boundaries like a festive suggestion, you've got our December. So here's a sample scenes from last year. My mother-in-law opens the evening with, "Are you still counting carbs?" before I even take off my coat. A 9-year-old who negotiates for free desserts like they're a Wall Street broker. And then I tried to flirt with my spouse one night at 10:30 p.m. and I got a totally after I finished assembling the 600-piece toy and wiped glitter off the dog. We love each other and we're just getting steamrolled by festive, but we want to be a viable team. We like to keep the marriage sexy. I mean, even like minimal sexy is fine, and not collapse into roommates with matching seasonal stress disorders, if you will. What we need from you. How do we set warm, firm boundaries with family? How do we have a pregame huddle so that we stop improvising our way through? Because doesn't that seem what we often do? We go into issues like family and some of the things where we know there could be stress, and we just figure we'll just make it up on the fly. Kind of an interesting reality.
I mean, for most people, it's better to have a plan going in.
Absolutely. Kids scripts so that we don't throw grandparents, Santa, and other people under the bus. And in the moment code word plan for when one of us starts short circuiting. So they've obviously listened before because we've used, would you like a glass of water?
Glass of water?
They even have some suggestions.
Okay.
Her vote is pine cone or fruitcake because obviously ways to keep intimacy alive that aren't if you do bedtime, maybe later. A bonus, how do we also avoid the one wants to go out and one wants to stay home tug of war?
So
we
much
got a
in here
bunch.
to unpack. Like, she's stressing me out just with all the questions that she's got in here.
Now you kind of get the idea of what holiday season
and all
is
the
like.
adjectives and things added in. I'm like, I'm having a hard time breaking this down.
Right. So if you can just help us survive the calendar carnage and still want to make out at some point over the holidays, they'll personally send us all the glitter they keep vacuuming up, which no. Because glitter
I'm good.
gets everywhere.
I'm good. Don't give them our address.
So this is interesting because if you think about it, that's just a small portion of what some holidays are like. And some people thrive off of this. If you just think about it in general.
Yeah. I mean, if she's
and some people
referring to her spouse as a
scares
golden
them to
retriever
death,
about it.
Right. They just think of, man, how does January get here faster?
I mean, I'd love to be married to someone like she's got there because I mean, if you're going to go to these things in the big picture, it's good to go to them with people that are excited about it, not people that are whining about it. So maybe that's perspective number one is
What's her stance?
Tip number one is you can find joy in anything if you look for it. So
yeah, so I guess
you can live by
step
that.
number one, when we're talking about just my own superpower, my own ability to handle myself, is know myself better. Because obviously when we get caught in these kinds of situations where not only is there tension and pressure between spouses in just a normal everyday life on life terms, it gets magnified when you start getting holiday traditions and expectations and just this is the way we do things.
Whether it's your own expectations or you're not living up to someone else's expectations. You always have that member of the family that has those expectations.
Absolutely. And it's also interesting because I'm trying to just think through of all the different people I've worked with personally as in therapy, of maybe there's one or two that come to mind as just offhand of where the families that they would go visit and be a part of, because we all have our own, like when we meet and fall in love and then get married and create our own system, it creates whatever it is that it's working to do based on some of what we're bringing into it and some of what we want. And then when we get invited back into family, we think we've moved on beyond the family disease. Lo and behold, we realize when you're back with family, no, I can still fall right back in line with what I was raised around and just become autopilot, not even realizing it.
Okay. But what were you saying about
one of the things that's interesting is there are very few people I've come across that have an extended family or an extended side of family that honor what another person, what their kids may actually want. Like we realize that you might have a whole lot going on. And so we'd love to just come be involved and come to some of the things, but don't make it about us, because family seems to always want to make it about family rather than wait, there's a lot of people in play that are trying to morph and create something, but also not lose themselves in the midst of it.
Right.
And so one of the things is her understanding herself of, okay, so she's a cat. These are pretty good descriptions. You got a dog and a cat.
Yeah.
The dog is, I want to be around. Let's do this. Well, what do we want to do now? Let's do this now. And the cat's like, yeah, I'll just do it on my own time. I don't really need you. And that kind of captures what most marriages might be, actually.
Yeah, potentially.
I know who I am in our marriage in comparison to you. So it's realizing, okay, if I know my orientation towards these things, how do I handle that side of the dynamic better to realize I want to honor parents, I want to honor family, I want to be engaged, but I also want to be aware of my capacities. So what do I need to do about that? How can I settle self down and still stay involved? Or how can I show up and be involved knowing I got time and then claim the time I'm going to need later? If that's, I just need a time I'm peopled out.
Yeah, it's okay to claim time for yourself.
And then also realize at the same time, your golden retriever spouse thrives off of that. And so them being the same as you is not going to happen. It's going to be a different approach. And so when you are showing up to these things, right, let's just use an example. So Thanksgiving is this week. And so you're showing up to the big family dinner and maybe it's a giant extended family gathering. And maybe for one of you in the spousal units, it wigs you out. You're already stressed out thinking about it.
Sure.
So on the way there, before you get there, settle yourself down, have some self-talk, take some deep breaths, center yourself, and just realize it's okay.
Music, what music is going to help you get there? Something like
right. So breathe low and slow. Put your feet on the ground. Even if you're in the car while driving there, put your feet squarely on the ground and just kind of be where your butt is for the moment and engage. And then
what does putting feet on the ground do for you?
Oftentimes, if you think about it, when we get in situations where I'm amped up, I'm stressed, I'm worried or whatever, my body will ball up in some way, shape or form. I can cross my legs. I can pull them up to my chest, get in the fetal position, and not even realize I'm doing it. And so a lot of times there's just this importance of, I just settle down. I get more square in my body and my feet actually on the ground solidly helps the whole flow of my body. So it's a meditation component.
Okay.
That helps.
Okay.
And so when you can realize that, and then you can name the sensations You can get in touch with what's going on in you. You get a better opportunity of actually embracing what it is and making the choices. Because too often, I think what ramps us up, tell me if you agree with this, too often what ramps us up is I get too wrapped up in what I think other people are expecting and don't honor and just discard my own, not even realizing I'm doing it. And then at some point, I start kind of getting this internal dilemma and I just will erupt. Well, I can't believe she, whatever it might be, rather than, okay, wait, how do I center myself and choose? Because I'll tolerate and orient towards those a whole lot differently when I honestly choose it.
I think that that's a fair perspective. I'm just, noodling. What is it that wigs me out? Yeah. I think of my mom and what she would expect from her kids, and I want to go in there and fulfill that. I don't want her to be alone. Well, what's the other family? If we're not going to show up to the extended family thing, or what are they going to say when we're not there? Because maybe nothing. Maybe we're just very low on the totem pole, and we're often what we tell our kids, or well, we don't. I don't think we tell our kids this. It's just a reality. People don't think about you as much as you think they think about you.
I'm not as important to people as maybe I'd like to think I am.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's funny because I think we over exaggerate some of those thought processes anyway.
Yes.
Sad day when we're maybe not, and the family really is that harsh, but whatever. That's kind of a sad point, side point. But yeah, I think it is a lot of what do I think other people are expecting? And then I feel that pressure of meeting what those expectations are for some people.
Right. Because this is where
people that maybe matter most.
In a nutshell, everyone has expectations on you, spoken or not. That this is the way a daughter is supposed to act. This is the way a son is supposed to act. This is the way a cousin is supposed to act. This is the way a mother is supposed to act. Whatever the role we play, there are these worldly expectations that get thrust upon us that are as varied and as unique as the person doing the placing it on you. And so we get caught up because we all have maps usually of, well, this is what we're supposed to do. And then it gets even more exaggerated because we also have the nostalgia of how can I capture what it once was? Because that's oftentimes what we cling on to that throws things sideways when it comes to this time of year.
Yeah, we cling to, or we just know it's not going to be there. So it's kind of sad.
Well, there's that too.
Right.
The other side of that coin.
I'm not trying to recreate it. I just know it's never going to be there again.
Right. But understanding how I'm bringing whatever I'm bringing into it, as well as knowing what my family or my kids or whatever are bringing into it, helps me orient towards it better, helps me face it actually better in real time, rather than I get caught off guard because I haven't done any prep work, any soul work, if you will, of, okay, I mean, among our kids, we know between our two children, which one holds more nostalgia dear than the other.
Yes.
And so how do we prepare for that? Knowing, yeah, we won't have some of the same traditions that maybe we've done in the past. And they're small, some of them are. But sometimes they may happen, sometimes they may not. Well, how are we prepared for that to realize, yeah, that's going to elicit this reaction? And what happens if I haven't done any internal prep work, I will react to their reactions. And the difference becomes when I can do some prep work like this of just sift through, knowing who I'm going to be around, knowing who I want to be when I'm with these people, how I want to honor them. I do some prep work. Now, all of a sudden, I move it from I don't react to their reactions. I respond more likely to their reactions.
And the prep work. Okay. So the prep work looks like what?
So the prep work looks like I know the people that I'm going to be around. It could be my immediate family, as in you and our kids.
Yeah.
I have a pretty decent map over who all of you guys are. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there's also the element of extended family. I have a pretty decent map of who my family is, who your family is. And so when I can do the prep work is largely just how am I being honest with myself about who I'm going to be around? So therefore I can maybe take away the shocking reaction when they act in ways I know they're going to act. Because sometimes we're like, oh, I thought things would be different. I thought this year everything would have changed.
Well, and I see some of that in the repeated things. We see things over and over and over again. And then, yes, I hear you. I will react the same. I'm like, can you believe they said this? Well, yeah, because they've said it for the last 20 years.
Because that's what the expectation is that they have.
So why do I act shocked? Because you know what my reaction does? That then spills over to you. And I'm creating this negative environment for you too, because I'm reacting to something that I knew was going to be there anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is largely just spending some time in my own inner mental world to realize, okay, wait a second. How am I at least being more accurate and honest about the dynamic? Because that's the thing that's so interesting to me is when I can get a clearer picture of where I am and what I'm facing, I can do different in it. And I'm not totally disrupting everything. I can be very honoring and respectful through it all. I just handle myself different.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest difference at all, because then you get to create a scenario like they're asking. Now, how do we also maintain us in this equation?
Yeah.
Because too often what we will do is we'll go into situations that are heightened anxiety moments. And I will basically, unbeknownst to my spouse, be expecting my spouse to help me stay in check, help calm me down, help reassure me. And it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it can, but usually we both get spun up.
That's what we're talking about in collaboration in the extended version, right? There are ways that we sharpen one another.
Totally.
But I've got to be able to take care of
But there's also
myself.
ways
I can't rely on you for that.
Because if you come to me because you're upset about your family and I come back with a reaction of it's your family, that's a shot that you could take personal. Like, how could you say that about my family when in fact you're saying the very same thing? That my family, I don't get them. And so it's trying to have an objective point of view that doesn't pile on each other.
Yeah.
Because that's what we so easily can do. Because I'm coming to you to talk about something and you give me an agreement on it. And I hear that as a piling on rather than, no, you're seeing the same thing I am. I'm not aware enough to realize that we're in agreement, actually. It just feels like an attack. And that's where we start spiraling off of our reactions. So that's why centering ourselves is so vital as part of this process. And then to pivot it to what we do together, we'll do that in the extended context.